So here it is, my masterpiece, finally completed. It's not a masterpiece in the sense of being a brilliant work of art, but rather in the medieval sense. Apprentices, before they could be admitted to the guild as master craftsmen, would have to create their own masterpiece. This is mine. As I get near the end of my life, I've tried to make something that incorporates some of my interests over the years. These include World War I, medicine, Australia, Coptic bookbinding, and native woods. As the video goes on, I'll describe to you the various elements of the piece, plus some details about the individual books. This is the suspension column carved out of a piece of basswood 16 inches by 4 inches. On the back of it, you can see the piece of metal that I've wrapped around it. This is a technique I learned at a bookmaking school where the copper is denatured with ammonia and salt, but unfortunately the copper is so small you really can't see the pattern that's been created on it. Using the little bit of Latin that I've learned, I named this piece in Liberis Legatis Libertas, which means in bound books there is freedom. I like this title, first of all because it's in Latin, and I like the alliteration. I also like it for its multiple levels of meaning. Clearly, it refers to bound books, that is, books that have been bound, in this case using Coptic binding. But it also refers to the medieval practice of binding books to a lectern with a chain, where they were free to be read by anybody who was able to read, but they were not able to be removed. I also like to think of the books standing for people, and especially in these times of racial injustice, I like the idea of, even though they've been subjected to abuse and servitude, people are still capable of feeling an inner freedom. The base of the piece is made of a solid piece of native cherry with a live edge, and I've burned the title of the piece into the cherry. This is the back view of the piece. There's nothing remarkable about it, except it allows you to see it from another angle. The lectern I created out of basswood left over after I'd carved the suspension column. Now to the individual books. The book on the lectern is made out of wood from the cucumber magnolia tree in the yard of the boyhood home of Sir William Osler in Dundas, Ontario. He was the father of modern medicine. The tree is old, the wood is worm-eaten, but it polished up into a nice cover. There's a picture of the tree. The house has now been converted into a bed and breakfast, and Susan and I stayed there. This next book is made of hewn pine, which grows only in the southwest corner of Tasmania. It is a very rare and beautiful wood to work with. The cover is adorned with the badge of my father, who was a member of the University of Tasmania Freemasons Lodge. This little number is a nod to Australia. It's papered and painted poplar with a lapel pin of the Australian flag. This next book reflects my interest in photography. The cover is made of red alder wood, and on that cover I've attached a tintype of an older woman. This has a Canadian connection in as much as I bought the tintype at a little village in Ontario when we were there to see the Shakespeare Festival. The village was named Shakespeare and the festival was at Stratford. I have an interest in the First World War, particularly the politics of that war, and this book reflects that. The cover is made of mahogany and the badge is a sweetheart badge. These were badges that the soldiers either made or bought and sent home to their sweethearts. This one is from the village of Ypres, which was lovingly called Wipers by the soldiers. This area was the scene of some of the worst fighting of the First World War. I've used this end paper because it reminds me of the red poppies of Flanders used to commemorate the World War I battles in that area. This is another World War I related piece. The cover is made of poplar covered with painted paper and then distressed. The badge is what is called in Australia a tinny. These were made during the First World War to raise money for the war effort. This one relates to the ambulances used in the war. The final book is an all-American book. The cover is made of pistachio wood and it has a beautiful grain with green streaks in it. The end papers are made of commercial paper. So that's my masterpiece. It reflects my passions and my skills. I had a great deal of pleasure making it, and I hope you enjoyed looking at this video.